intersection of law and technology, an evolving space where the traditional legal systems must adapt to the profound challenges posed by artificial intelligence. The conversation around regulation, ethics, and accountability in AI is not just timely, it is essential. We are honored to have a diverse group of participants with us this evening: the law students, academicians, legal professionals, advocates, and the members of the judiciary. Your presence is a testament to the growing interest and urgency in understanding the legal dimensions of artificial intelligence. Without further ado, I would now like to invite my co-host to introduce our esteemed guest for this evening.
Thank you. It is with immense pleasure and deep respect that now I introduce our honorable guest for the evening, former Justice of Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and Bombay High Courts, and present Senior Counsel of Supreme Court, Shri Dama Seshadri Naidu Garu, a distinguished jurist, scholar, and practitioner. Honorable Sir, Shri Dama Seshadri Naidu Garu's inspiring journey from an honorable, humble village near Tirupati to the benches of three honorable high courts and now to active practice before the Honorable Supreme Court of India is a shining testament to Sir's dedication, resilience, and brilliance in the field of law. After earning his law degree from Sri Venkateshwara University in Tirupati, Sir enrolled with the Bar Council of Andhra Pradesh in 1997. Sir gained initial trial court experience in Tirupati before moving his practice to Hyderabad in the early 2000s. Over the years, Sir has represented a wide spectrum of clients from individuals to nationalized banks and major corporations across civil, criminal, and constitutional matters. Sir's contribution to legal education is equally exemplary. As a guest faculty member at the Andhra Pradesh Judicial Academy, Sir has taught vital subjects like the Hindu Succession Act and the Negotiable Instruments Act. Sir is also the author of key legal texts such as the Law of Stamp Duty and Registration and the Andhra Pradesh Education Code. Notably, Sir has co-revised foundational legal treaties including Mullah's Code of Civil Procedure and M.P. Jain's Constitutional Law of India, the works that continue to guide both legal scholars and practitioners. Known not only for his legal acumen, but also for his humility and generosity, Shri Dama Seshadri Naidu Garu has consistently supported the education of meritorious students from under-resourced backgrounds, believing firmly that no deserving mind should be held back by circumstance. Despite being one of the most sought-after legal minds in the country, Sir graciously and selectively undertakes cases, often pro bono, particularly in sensitive and high-stake matters such as death penalty litigation. This reflects not only his extraordinary legal acumen, but also a profound commitment to justice, due process, and higher standards of justice and fairness. Even with a schedule that few could match in its intensity, Sir exemplifies the spirit of a lifelong learner, constantly immersing himself in the evolving realms of law, policy, and ethics. His Delhi office, curated with great care, houses an exceptional and diverse collection of books, including legal, philosophical, and academic literature comparable to a national law library, and stands as a testament to his intellectual depth and unwavering dedication to his legal profession. Sir's courtroom work has drawn significant public and legal attention. In one notable case, Sir questioned the reliability of prosecution witness in a death penalty appeal before the Honorable Supreme Court, sparking vital discourse on evidentiary standards. In another instance, Sir successfully contended that extrajudicial confessions reported in newspapers could not be considered credible solely on the basis of publication, thereby reinforcing critical safeguards in criminal trials. Beyond the courtroom, Shri Dama Seshadri Naidu Garu is a person of deep intellectual curiosity. Sir nurtures a passion for Telugu and English literature, maintains an abiding love for music and radio, and is especially intrigued by neuroscience, particularly plasticity and how learning reshapes the human mind. We are truly privileged to have such a towering personality with us today to share his insights on how the legal profession can engage with the complex ethical and regulatory challenges posed by artificial intelligence. On behalf of Vino Legal, we once again extend our heartfelt gratitude and a very warm welcome to Honorable Shri Dama Seshadri Naidu Garu. We are deeply honored to have you with us today, sir. With utmost respect and anticipation, we now invite you to take the virtual dais and enlighten us with our invaluable insights. The floor is graciously yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nikita. Rather, you are profuse in praise. I hope I will not disappoint because you have given such a glorifying account of me, which may not be entirely true. And the expectations rise, obviously. I need to match that one. Well, practically, I am on a holiday now because Supreme Court is closed for summer vacation. Then one of my colleagues, Purnima, or Punarvi as I call her, she asked me whether I would like to be part of this webinar where I can share my ideas on one of the emerging subjects, that is artificial intelligence and the law, the interaction between these two. And I agreed, and right now I'm somewhere in Tamil Nadu in my vacation, but still I believe sharing my ideas with young minds is the best thing I could ever think of. That's a call of duty. And as always, when it comes to my webinars, they're quite informal. They don't follow any script at all. And I would like to be brief when it comes to whatever the session. And what I propose, rather I was told at the very beginning, is that it could be about 45 minutes session with 15 minutes question and answer. So
we are honored for your gracious presence here, sir. In fact, I would just like to add that. Thank you so much for your time.
Right.
Yes.
Now, what I propose is 40 to 45 minutes, we'll have the session. The broad outlines of the artificial intelligence and the legal regulatory mechanism we can think of. Thereafterwards, I'll invite a few questions from the participants, young minds. And also, please remember, don't ever think of putting very, very, intelligent or clever questions, because all the growth, I strongly believe, comes out of absurd thinking. Think of absurd questions. You will get best answers perhaps out of that one. Well, to begin the session, let me tell you a story from Greek mythology. Have you ever heard the expression, a Pandora's box? You must have had, all of you, because it's difficult for you to say yes or no, because except with the smileys, because I've said that ambience noise would cause some disturbance to the lecture. That's why I say, I presume that you all know that one. Let me tell you the fable behind this Pandora's box story. You know what happened? It's from Greek mythology. You could as well Google and find that one. The gods, and the humans, in between, demigods were there. They were called titans. Well, titans are very powerful, but they're not gods though. One of the titans is Prometheus, the patron saint, you could call, of the crafts. Gods have given everything to the human beings except fire, according to the mythology. Then Prometheus wanted to do good for the humanity, and he stole fire from the gods and gave it to the humans. The gods became quite obviously angry at the stealing of that vital art from them, and they wanted to curse Prometheus, and they did curse. That's a different story. Let me see what happened with the fire. Once the humans have the fire, the gods wanted to get even both with Prometheus, the Titan, and the humans. What they have done, the god's king there, he's called Zeus. Zeus, Zeus. So Zeus asked one of the gods, that is Hephaestus, to prepare a beautiful woman of clay. And he gave life to that clay figure. And he called that figure Pandora. Pandora means, Pan means all, Doras in Greek, gifts. So she's been gifted with everything like, of course, then cunning, all human frailties, including curiosity. Of course, Prometheus would never take any gift. He was wary because he had stolen something, they would get even. His brother, he already cautioned him, that is Epimetheus, that please don't accept any gifts from the god. Despite that, the brother accepts the gift, that is Pandora. He marries her. Then in the marriage, again, the gods give many gifts to her with one box or jar containing, don't open it. Well, I've told you this Pandora, a very beautiful bride, has all the qualities, including curiosity. One day, the curiosity got better of her, and she opened the Pandora's box. That's how the phrase, the fable, Pandora's box. The moment she opened it, all calamities have flowed into humanity. That's the God's curse. You take sickness, you take death, you take misery, and countless other misfortunes have escaped. And the moment all this was happening, Pandora became scary. She was scared. And immediately she closed the lid. Well, by then, everything escaped except hope. So the hope remained with the humanity. And when it comes to artificial intelligence, that is the Pandora's box that technologists have given to us. And we have opened it. The possibilities, be it advantages, be it evils, whatever you call, they are unimaginable and limitless. My friends, you all know technology is a good servant, but a bad master. Now you have artificial intelligence. You call it generative technology. And it is exactly like Pandora's box. The uses and abuses are limitless. Then what remains in that box? The hope that we don't abuse it or use it for the welfare of the humanity. Well, when it comes to the humans, you have had two distinct phases. Evolutionarily speaking, the initial predecessor to the human was Homo erectus. You all know that. And then the intelligent being emerged. That was Homo sapien. Now let me have the technology in the same sphere. It all began, borrowing the historical perspective, industrial age that began in 18th century. we have had all sort of technological advances. Until 1950s, we have had all developments. But the epoch-making era could have been perhaps from 1950. What you have is information age. Friends, you can as well call it digital age. When it comes to digital age, there is a watermark, that is 2022. Why is it a watermark? It's watermark because that's when you had ChatGPT, the open source AI, given across the world to everybody who could have access to. All that you want is one smart machine like a phone and internet connectivity. That's how this has been prevalent now. You know, a couple of years ago, I was listening to a program on BBC radio that's called Wreath Lectures. You can as well go to the website of BBC, type Wreath Lectures. My young friends, you could have many topics there, including law, technology, everything. Each lecture covering an hour or so, talking about various aspects. In one of the lectures on artificial intelligence, a scholar says it takes about 3 million years, that's more than 30 lakh years, for the human brain to evolve. When it comes to a computer, it all started in 1950 or around. And imagine in about 72 years or 75 years, where have we come up to? And, you know, when a computer was invented, the inventor felt at best the world would have the need for 4 computers. And then later, the predictions were that it is impossible to build a machine with intelligence which can rival human brain. More than a decade ago, a machine beat Kasparov in chess. Now, best of the brains could not match the technology. Believe me, your smartphone, the prediction is in a couple of years, it will have more processing power than the whole of humanity put together. You know, ever since, well, I just lost my track. Let me come back to it. You know, when it comes to the processing power of a machine, I've told you that in a couple of years, a smartphone could overtake the collective thinking capacity of the whole of the humanity. Right? If that is the pace of technology, you imagine, I said humanity took 3 million years to evolve to this present stage. Even 75 years, a machine could come to this stage. Down the line, can you be assured that it will not overtake the humanity and enslave it? A person like Yuval Harari, who wrote that Homo sapiens and also Homo Deus, predicts it's a scary perspective, and it is certainly possible. I've told you that a machine defeating human, and it's become a daily phenomenon. You know, ever since writing had been invented, the Sumerians, now the central Iran, I believe, about 4,000 years ago, they were credited with the invention of writing. From that day to say 2000, whatever that had been written and printed, Now, every 2 years, internet generates more than that every 2 years. That is the information overdrive we have had, or what do you call that? Information overflow. Well, now, as I've told you, why is so much of talk about artificial intelligence? Even before 2022, you were asking many questions to Google, for example, search engine, and say, what are the restaurants nearby? It would give you. And give me the list of the American presidents. It was giving. Whatever you wanted, at a click away, you are getting all answers. Then what differentiates that technology from what now we are calling artificial intelligence? Let me tell you, I'm not a technician though. As I understood, until then, we have had data processing. That means whatever the data available on the internet, a search engine like Google could process it and then make it available for us in the forms of an answer. If something is not there, it cannot give. And let me put it the other way. Suppose there is information A, there is information B, there is information C. Whenever you wanted, based on your need, it could give you information A, or when you want information B or information C. Let me put this way, but I want something which is beyond these three possibilities. I wanted you to mix all these three things and give me something which could come out of this knowledge. For example, if I read book A, if I read book B, if I read book C, when I speak, I can draw information from all these books and I can present in an independent manner. Oh dear, this is Mr. Kapoor. Yeah. Now let me put it way. I'm a cricketer. I also practice tennis. And I also practice, say, hockey. Then with all these skills combined, whatever advantage I have while playing hockey or tennis, I can bring that to cricket. This is called applied knowledge. A machine could never do until 2022 this application of combining knowledge and generating something new out of it. This is called generative artificial intelligence or generative AI. That means information the machine takes and it doesn't provide you answer from that information. It provides an entirely different information. This is called generative. Earlier the question was, if some technology was given to you, the question was, can I use this technology for purpose A? Can I use this technology for purpose B? It goes on like that. Now, with AI, it's not the question of can I. The question is, should I? Because it can do anything you imagine. But the only thing is it good for you? About 25 years ago, one neurophysician, his name is Daniel Amen. He has written half a dozen books. You can read any of them on neuroplasticity. And he said, if you are exposed to internet for more than half an hour a day, your brain suffers a condition called atrophy, shrinking. He has also said when you watch internet, say YouTube, etc., for more than half an hour, whatever the part of the brain that gets triggered to release your dopamine, the pleasure molecule, when you take narcotic drugs, the same part of the brain gets activated. That's why it's addictive. Now, please remember, a few years ago when we did not have our smartphone, most of us could recollect 50 to 100 phone numbers of our friends, relatives, etc. Now with the phone saving everything, how many numbers you could recollect? Put a question to yourself. Well, now with everything stored in a machine, you are straight away accessing it and you're feeling that you know that one. This is called Google illusion. You don't know, rather we don't know. We are dumb. The machine is smart, but we always believe by retrieving that information, we are very smart. Right? So now please remember, earlier at least, when your Google is giving you answers, you are using it for whatever purpose. So there, the application of any particular piece of information is left to your discretion. Sorry. Now, with generative AI, you don't need to think. You know, what happens if you don't use your muscle, whatever is the muscle of a part of a body, if you don't use at all, it gets atrophied away and lost. If you don't use your brain, classic example I'll tell you. About 30 years ago, a university professor went out to Japan from India. It was a reported incident. He purchased, say, something for 80 rupees. And the shopkeeper did not have 20 rupees. So she was looking for 20 rupees. The professor could see a 50 rupee note. Let me put it instead of yens, I'm using rupees for easy, this one. So he told her, I'll give you 30 rupees because she has to give him 20 rupees. He told her, I'll give you 30 rupees. Please give me 50. She couldn't understand that concept. I have to give you 20. I'll give you. You wait a while. Why should I take from you 30 rupees? She immediately took the calculator, pressed the buttons, 20, take 20. Well, now with the machine, then they stopped thinking of mental calculation. Now with smartphone, we have stopped remembering phone numbers. With Google, we have stopped remembering information. Earlier, we all used to take pride in telling what are the currencies of countries, what are the capitals of the world across the globe, then what are the names of the parliaments across the globe, all these trivia, tidbits and everything we were taking pride. And quiz programs were the rage. Right? Even to this day, if you log into BBC, you will have Brain of Britain quiz competition. All these things. Now they become passé. No longer needed. Because the world has become your oyster. Everything is available. But at what cost? At the cost of our own faculties. Now you see, when it comes to the machine, everything, when it presents, the faculty may suffer. It's a scary picture. Now let me come to the positive scope of the technology. You know, with the AI, it's possible to do medical research one day's research with top grade AI could be equal to 20 years research by 2,000 scientists. Imagine the progress you can make, right? And critical medical area can be taken care of. And let me come to law as well. All of us lawyers. Now, you take, say, for example, ChatGPT, or you must have heard about Grok, Grok, by this Elon Musk, or there are other unlimited ones though. Any of them, if you have for subscription or for free, right, then you feed whatever the information, your documents. Suppose you wanted to draft a plaint, feed your information, feed your documents, it will give you a draft plaint. Feed your information, it will give you written statement. Feed your information, it will give you the questions for cross-examination, the trial part. Feed all the information, you'll have your written arguments ready. Well, there is another tech. It is an accelerator, right? To that extent, we are happy. But if it crosses beyond enhancing our efficiency and making us inefficient, that spells the doom. So, the phase of analytical AI with all Google search engines, etc., was ruling the roost up to 2022. Then came generative AI. That's from 2022 onwards. Now, let me tell you, from morning to evening, imagine your daily activity, right? And all the services technologically you're using, for that matter, all of us though, including me, are provided by 4 to 5 technicians or technology companies. You take Elon Musk, his Meta. You take Windows, Microsoft. You take Google. You take Apple, and perhaps 1 or 2 other companies. You know, last year, the turnover of Apple has exceeded India's GNP, gross national product. Can you imagine a company occupying a square kilometer or less than a square kilometer in Silicon Valley, right, could cross in income the whole nation of 140 billion people, 1.4 rather, right? So tomorrow, if these 4 people, for whatever reason, say we are shutting shop, what should happen to the world? This is another thing. That's why here comes the role of the regulation, the role of law. For that purpose, what are the critical questions you can think of? If you are using a machine, who built it is the question. And somebody operates it behind. You are only menu-driven person. You are just externally controlling, but the internal manipulation by the technician, technologist. So the next question is, who runs it? Right? And when they run it, it needs data. Who is providing the data? We are providing the data. So who else is seeing the data? Who else is storing the data? And who else is manipulating the data? See, all that you have to do is go to Google search and type say which air conditioner is the best. You'll have many pieces of advice, many websites coming. And the next day, you'll have many advertisements there, tailor made to suit your set of AC, air conditioner. This is how the data is shared. This is how they generate. So this is when you read Noval Harari's Homo Deus. No, what he says in that book. Homo Deus means, Homo means human, Deus means God. He initially said Homo sapien. Homo means human, sapien means intellect. Now, from intellect to deification, godly status, how did human being get it? That's what he answered in that one. With data manipulation. Earlier, in agrarian system, we were asking how many acres of land you have. Later, in the industrial sector, perhaps how many industries of what manufacturing you do. Then came corporate world. How many shares of which company you have. Down the line, the wealth could be measured, according to him, Yuval Harari, based on the data you possess. The richest man on earth is the person who has most of human data, our information. That's how Google makes its money. That's how Elon Musk makes his money. So this is Homo Deus. God has attained, human has attained godly status with this data. And earlier he said, you have got Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, other things. Now he says the religion is going to be datism, a religion that propagates data. Well, funny and scary, but you can read for benefit. Now, as I'm talking about benefit, I have told about who controls, who builds, who runs, then who manipulates the information, and ultimately who profits out of the whole thing. Once we have come to know, the final element in this regulatory mechanism could be the trust. How will you have the trust in technology? How will you be assured that nobody is going to exploit you? Because if you want to have an email account, you have to provide all the information. And with that information, how could you be sure that they're not exploiting your weaknesses? You know, nowadays, the other technology, apart from deep fake, which I'll come to in a while, subliminal artificial intelligence. You know what's meant by subliminal artificial intelligence? Well, that talks about how to control your mind, subliminal. So there is technology which can regulate your thought. You become sort of a Frankenstein, an automaton, a remote controlled humanoid, if not a robot, so that you could be used for destructive or constructive purpose by somebody else. Of course, nowadays regulations, you know, the first piece of legislation on this count, the European Union came out with one legislation that's called Artificial Intelligence Act 2024. It's available online. You can read it for profit. Right. Now, let me talk about the inevitability of the technology. Right. Every technology brings in its wake all sorts of fears, but the human adaptability takes over, and then it becomes second nature for us. You remember when remote control was invented for TV, many people were afraid of using that in the house because it would have infrared rays which would cause cancer. Now, have you ever seen any TV without a remote? Now, let me come to smartphones. Many people said you should not use Bluetooth devices Because again, the same thing. You don't keep your phone in the pocket, your heart gets affected. Now, anybody cares for that one? We are prepared for death rather than lagging behind when it comes to technology and its use. Right? So that's why.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me talk about the inevitability of the technology. Well, education. Please remember, in the next couple of years, if AI goes unregulated in the same phase, there will not be any need for teachers or lectures in the world. A machine can teach you everything. Right? If you want a lesson to be taught with the voice, with the face of your favorite lecture, somebody can generate that one. If you want to watch a movie of a hero who is no longer alive, for me, say N.T. Ramarao of Telugu or Rajesh Khanna of Hindi, somebody could make that one as if they were alive, their voice, their physique, and everything. Right? So, that way, in the next 2 years, the prediction is no need for teachers or lecturers rather, no need for programmers, because a machine can program everything and anything, and no need for drivers. So the next question is the lawyers. Do you still need lawyers? When nowadays I was told most of the corporate houses have been relying on AI and they get their answers only for verification or confirmation. You just go for that one, for a lawyer. And earlier, the doctors were facing the problem of a patient coming with all the information gathered from Google and with all imaginary fears, whether I have this or that and that. And doctors would advise, please don't ever gather information from net and come to me. Now that's the case with lawyers. An educated client comes to us with all the information already taken, including the latest case law. Well, it's another challenge we face. In UK, 50% of the students are giving their homework, rather their assignments, ready with the help of AI. Now it's become a big task for the teachers to identify which is their mind, the student's mind, which has been generated by AI. And please remember, if you want to write a novel, give a topic, your ChatGPT will create a novel. Give the page numbers, 200 or 300, it will give you a novel of 200 or 300 pages. But who owns the copyright? Is it you or the one who designed that machine? I'll come to that aspect as well. Well, now, with all the regulations in place, what's happening? Say, for example, forensic analysis of evidence in legal field. Suppose there is a recording of telephonic conversation or a video of an offense. You could as well present that with a certificate under Section 65 of the Old Evidence Act. And then that can be placed before a court of law. And an expert could testify about that one. Eventually, the outcome could depend on that piece of evidence. But now, with deep fake, your voice can be cloned, your physique can be cloned, you can create a whole scenario. Suppose, as I am conversing with you now through this webinar, using the same thing, changing the lip movement, somebody could prepare a hate speech, which is equally believable. So, when it comes to these things, the line between reality and virtual reality has been completely obliterated. That's why the regulatory responsibility has been enormous on the lawmakers. But the problem is this. When there is a machine, and you pretty well know what that machine can be used for and cannot be used for. If it is used for an illegal purpose, you also know the outcome of that illegal use. So a regulation, for example, this medical termination of pregnancy, sex determination before of a pregnant woman. There are regulations which say it's an offense for a doctor to determine prenatal sex determination. So it is a prohibited use which can be punished. Because you know the outcome. That's why you know the abuse. That's why you can as well prevent that abuse with sanction of law, perhaps a sentence of imprisonment. All these things are possible. But the problem with the AI is, the outcome is unpredictable. Let's take a simple example. You take ChatGPT and sit next to me. You put a question to the machine. The same question let me put. But the generative answer could be different. It can't be the same. So, it can be used for misinformation as well. The problem with regulation through legal means is twofold. One is the unpredictability of the outcome through artificial intelligence. It could be good, bad, or ugly. And the second one is the pace of technology, the speed of technology. Let me put it this way. Earlier, you wanted to be an entrepreneur. You wanted to make cables for connecting computers, networking cables. Earlier, this LAN networking was a big business. So let's assume that you have invested, started an industry for making the cables. Down the line, with complete cable-less technology, that's become passé. And let me put this way, earlier you could have seen many compact discs. They have disappeared. Later you have had pen drives. They have disappeared. Right? Now completely cloud technology. So these things make it very difficult for any technology or other lawmakers to catch up with the changes. The progress has become the big problem for predicting anything. Well, now, when it comes to the artificial intelligence and the regulation, the primary or the first step was taken by EU. They've had Artificial Intelligence Act 2024. They have given all sorts of parameters. It's an experimental legislation which could serve as a model for the rest of the people as well. Well, India has so far been content with the existing regulations like Information Technology Act, Telegraphic Act, and other cognate regulations. But perhaps we have also had been waiting for dedicated legislation to take care of the problems that may be thrown open by the use of artificial intelligence. So then, what is that is required? You need something that is efficient when it comes to regulating the artificial intelligence Why did I say that regulating? You can't stifle it. It's the inevitable path. You just have to walk down. Only thing is how safely it can be done. And also please remember, you can't kill the incentive. With all the advantages still, because of one scary picture, you put very strict regulation in place. You would be killing innovation. You would be killing startups. And you would be lagging behind. So that's why efficient it must be. And it should be incentivizing the technology. And the hallmark of any piece of legislation is certainty. So, using any technology, the outcome should lead to this. And the outcome crossing that limit, it should be sanctioned by way of prohibition or punishment. So that certainty must be there. Then comes proportionality. As I've said, you don't need a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And you don't need something like, say, Section 302 of IPC for everything, for every violation. And when it comes to any violation of technological advancements, abuse perhaps, you need law which is proportionate when it comes to the sanctions and the adaptability. My friends, it is a field which has been wide open. Technology keeps emerging. The laws must adapt to that one. And it's impossible for any parliament to match the technological pace. Then comes the role of the courts, and they would be adopting Hayden's principle. If you read statutory interpretation, you would come to know what's meant by Hayden's principle. That is purposive interpretation. Using Telegraphic Act of pre-constitutional era, courts still decide many complicated forensic cases of, say, internet, though it was not even imagined in the wildest dreams of the lawmakers that internet would be there when they've had Telegraphic Act. So this purposive approach is one important thing we could think of. There the court's roles come. Obviously, court doesn't mean judge alone. It is the lawyer as well. You know, if you're not legally well equipped, you can't be a good lawyer. In the same breath, let me put you, if you are not technologically well equipped, you can't be a good lawyer either. That's why law and technology are the two wheels for the dispensation of justice. Neither can be dispensed with. They are, in my view, two sides of the same coin. Thank you very much. I believe it's time. Of course, it's almost 6 o'clock now. I believe at least for 10 minutes, if it's permissible, I may have some questions so that I could answer them. Or else it's for the organizer to take a call on the time limit. Thank you.
So with your permission, we can go with 3 to 5 questions, sir.
So be it.
Dear audience, please.
You take the question and you just let me know.
Okay, sir, yeah. So there's a question.
Yeah, please let me know.
Yes, sir. What will be the repercussions?
What will be the repercussion you're talking about?
Repercussions of giving personhood to AI.
Well, that's a wonderful question. There's been a lot of debate with regard to personhood to AI. And it has, apart from legal implications, ethical implications as well. Right? Perhaps one of the best books on that is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. She was the wife of P.B. Shelley, the poet. And I don't think it's possible to give legal personhood to a machine, to any technology. It's going to be disruptive. But it's an idea that could be tossed about, that could be debated on, as it's been going on right now, because it will lead to split personhood. I told you, can you give personhood to ChatGPT because it's writing a novel? And you put a question with the same inputs, it's giving one sort of creative activity or novel output. If I do the same thing, it's giving, and two persons separately could we put that into the mind of the machine? So this split personhood, because a corporate house, it's one entity, because it's a juristic entity, apart from human entity. But the machine going to that extent, I don't think, at least right now, a possibility.
So the other question is, who shall
Yes,
be
please.
responsible for the acts committed by the AI?
Ah, right. You know, one of the problems, suppose you are using a machine made by a startup company, formed by a few young minds. They have made it, they have disappeared into thin air. Let me put it this way. And then you do something in good faith using that machine because it had not been updated, it had not been regulated because they disappeared into thin air. They became broke and they got separated. The machine still on with no modifications and safeguards. If something happens, who is to be blamed? That's the problem the technology poses. And if you say that, no, the moment you say, for example, make a machine, some app, and you should deposit with the government of that country, say 100 crores, then nobody will come forward. And then that kills the innovation. It's the thin line you have to walk. The governments have to walk. Perhaps the time will answer. I'd rather let me answer that one. For example, now the question is, when you buy something on Amazon, are you a consumer of Amazon? Amazon says, I'm only a gateway provider. Somebody else supplies. I am not doing anything. I can't be treated as service supplier or product supplier. I can't be direct to consumer code. That's what they've been telling. But your face to interact is Amazon, but not the person who supplies the goods through Amazon. This is the problem we face.
So the other question
Sir, I
is,
had a question. Sir, I had a question.
No, please give it to the
Please.
moderator.
please put it on to the chat box. So the other question is, how do predictive policing AI systems correlate with Article 22 if it were implemented in India?
Well, that's quite an academic question. Could you put that in common man's words?
So may I? I'm the one who asked the question.
Yes, please.
Okay. So predictive policing systems are algorithmic systems that are used by the executive, primarily the police in America,
Yes. Yes.
to find the likelihood of a person committing a crime or being involved in a crime. Now,
Yes.
Article 22 is preventative detention.
Yes.
My question is, can the possibility of a person being committing a crime be used in Article 22 for preventative detention purposes?
Right. You know, if you read the Artificial Intelligence Act 2024, it contains provisions on this one. One is, as I was in the beginning telling, the predictive, right, subliminal technology. And it prohibits real-time use of any such technology. Say, for example, I go to an airport and there I am scanned. My face is scanned to let me in, right? And if it's been shared in the real time, perhaps I'm an ordinary person. The same thing happens with the head of a nation. And then enemy may know where he is, and he could be a soft target. This is one thing that's been prohibited. Such technology, which is subliminal, cannot be used real time. Second thing, your question is, with the technology available, it is easy to predict whether a person is capable of making the same mistake or committing the same crime. And to prevent that one, whether technology can be used, will it not offend, say, for example, Article 21 before you go to Article 22, right? And if you read a wonderful novel about 40 years ago written, The Fifth Horseman, by Larry Collins and Dominic LaPerre, it answers that question in the context of emerging nuclear technology then. Well, and now you have seen the other day, Israel-Iran conflict, saying that Iran, according to them, is a rogue nation. It should not be equipped with any nuclear weaponization. That's why preemptive strikes we are doing. That's what we've been telling. So instead of a nation, you substitute a person there. What you are saying is that when a person has committed a crime, with neuroanalysis of his brain, you could as well predict what he's going to do next. So I can invoke 22. I can have this preventive arrest within the parameters protected by law. So is it permissible? And in a diluted version, let me talk about narco-analysis, right? What's been said? They're not compulsory. Otherwise, they become testimonial compulsion. But somebody volunteers, it could be had. And there's no adverse evidence that's drawn against it. As of now, of course, there is a rumor that a country like China has been already using that one for that purpose. But in democratic nations, as I understand, that has not been permitted and may not be permitted if you think of the ethical angle. Thank you.
So with your permission, can we end the question and answer session?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would like to deliver vote of thanks. Good evening,
Please go ahead.
everyone. As we come to the conclusion of today's enlightening session, it is both an honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of Wino Legal. First and foremost, our heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Shri Dama Seshadri Naidu Garu for so graciously accepting our invitation and sharing with us an extraordinary depth of knowledge and reflection. So your words today have not only enlightened us on the legal dimensions of artificial intelligence, but have challenged us to look beyond the surface to very soul of law, ethics, and evolving human values. So compellingly, you drew from Greek mythology, reminding us how the Titans, though not gods, wielded immense power in gifting fire to mankind, gave humanity both to its greatest tool and greatest risk. Much like that, fire, technology today is a good servant but dangerous master. Sir, you spoke about the inevitability of technology and the transition from industrial age to the informative age and now the digital age, marked by breakthroughs like ChatGPT and open source AI. As you have pointed out, like generative novels solve complex queries and mimic human expression, but cannot raise questions about their own legality or ethics, such as copyright of what they produce. In a world where data has become a new religion, dataism, sir, you have powerfully described, we are forced to reflect, do we still need lawyers? Sir, our roles are changing increasingly. Lawyers are sought not to provide just answers, but to verify, validate, and ethically contextualize the information already consumed by the clients. Sir, you also reminded us that even the most intelligent machine cannot replicate a human talent. As Homo sapiens, we are not only intellectual beings, but beings of judgment, conscience, and empathy, qualities that no algorithm can truly possess. To all the esteemed participants, law students, professionals, academicians, members of the judiciary, thank you for your presence and your engagement. Your participation has added immense value to this discussion. A special thanks to Wino Legal team and volunteers whose hard work and dedication made this event possible, and to our technical team for ensuring a flawless digital experience. Once again, thank you so much, sir, and thank you for such an enriching session. We are truly grateful, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Have a wonderful
Thank
evening.
you,
all of
Your Highness Seshadri garu. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you,
accepting
sir.
our invitation and taking time
Thank you
during
so
the
much,
holidays,
sir.
sir.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye, sir.